Remy Dairo, thank you so much for joining us.
A pleasure. Good morning.
Yes, every time we hear, of course, from the state government and the police, indeed, that this children, 6 of them, will be brought home really soon. But the parents don't seem to be comforted by these words.
Oh, it's happening because as a parent myself, I can imagine not to have your child with you and all the promises every day. They'll be back tomorrow. In fact, that was this weekend. They were expecting on Saturday. They had a vigil, just waiting and waiting and waiting Sunday, and they said, wow, and they started crying again and also. So it's not something of excitement at all. I don't know, but I just think it's time for us to revamp the education sector, the security sector, and find a lasting solution to this, because it's really affecting our economy. Yes.
Let's see it this way. We know that children, this is not the first time children have been kidnapped, but if we put it alongside where adults and children are side by side, how more complicated, or what is more, how more complicated is when the children are involved in a situation like this?
Okay, let me
than when they would have been adults.
Let me take from the psychological perspective. For a child to go through such a trauma, it's not good for the future of this country. Some of them were thinking, I didn't even care about us at all. Do we have a country at all? It's good for adults thinking about this, it's one of those things. But for a child to wake up in the early part of his or her life and find himself in the hands of kidnappers, and you are asking yourself, what am I doing here? Where are my parents? I don't know how they've been tortured, or probably they've been fed. It cannot be as if you're at home. So such traumas are good for for a child at that age. I remember they are the future of the country. So what would they think about the country when they grow up, when they eventually come out of the the net of the kidnappers? So psychologically, it's not good. It's not good at all. And for the parents, some of them are feeling that the government is not doing anything. And I also agree with government. It's a security thing. You can't tell the country, I mean probably the state, step by step action you are taking every day and all that. So it's a complex.
But there should be some minimum requirement of engagement between the government and the parents.
100%.
Because like we have been following activities in other parts of the developed world. At least there should be some level of engagement with the parents.
Another problem we have in this country is the communication gap between the government and the people. The government are there, we are doing our thing, we are working. You hold on, you are not expert in this area and all that. And then the people are saying, what are you doing? And if care is not taken, this big gap, this gap can become a serious issue, because the people are saying, and we are not saying anything.
Yes,
so
indeed, and that's exactly what
there should be a kind of a committee that, if not the government directly, there should be a committee that gives the information from the government and they know how to pass the message professionally, not diverging the security tactics and all that. So there should be probably a commission or a committee that takes care of communication between, and I think Ministry of Communication can do that, or Information and Strategy can do that, where they can present those information to the parents in a way that makes them to calm down and believe that the government is doing something. But this gap of not having adequate information is not good for us too.
And of course, latest reports say that the parents seem to have abandoned their fate, in the hands of God. Now, the police say they're actually on the heels of the kingpin. America also, the notorious one, another big gun among kidnappers in Nigeria. And that, of course, we did hear much earlier, I think it was into the 11th day of the kidnapping of this kid, that some 3 members of the same gang, this America gang, had been arrested in Benin, but we have not heard anything
after that.
After that, one would have imagined that police, government, whoever should have had some information that could actually trail them to America.
Yes, the question.
America, of course, is the person, not the place.
Not the place. The way we also treat foreigners, especially from that part of the world, America, from UK and all that, and they begin to probably be very, conscious or very careful, or let's do our investigation, we cannot avoid this. But if it's a normal person on the street that picks up there.
I hope you're not getting me wrong. This America is a pseudonym, is a nickname of the kidnap kingpin. Oh, you've not even heard about him. Okay, that's another matter entirely.
I was even surprised.
Yes, he's called America, and alongside, of course, he, according to reports, he actually took over from one OC, another kidnapper, who was killed by the military, you know, in the course of
the gunfire. People are tired of, oh, we got this, we got that. The question is, when are you going to prosecute them? Prosecution is very key, because if prosecution is not clearly defined, you know, and people, you know, say, this is all about social media, getting noise about them. Oh, kidnapped. I mean, we've arrested this, arrested that, and then there is no serious or very clear, you know, judgment. I mean, probably through the law. I mean, probably a special court for kidnapping, as somebody, you know, proposed. This business might be a good business for some people.
Of course, and the stakes seem to be getting higher. Some states are already talking about the death penalty for the kidnappers, in the event that a death occurs in the course of, you know, kidnapping or the abduction of anyone. Do you think the death sentence really would serve as enough deterrent?
You know, some part of the world, it's something that people don't like to talk about, the death sentence. They think that it's so harsh and so strong.
Governments are even abolishing
that. So, you know, so at this level now, I would say, because normally if you've been arrested and they are, you know, jail time, they can repent, they can change. That is the concept of, you know, not, you know, accepting, you know, death penalty as the case may be. But I don't want to say anything that, like, I just want to say that let's arrest, let's prosecute, and do the right thing, so that others will know that this is not a good business to go into. Okay. And very, very importantly, I want us to think about people arrested. It is not a social media thing. It is not a celebrity thing. It's becoming, wow, they've arrested this. Wow, what's going on? And before we know, the reason for arrest
is lost on us.
Exactly. All right, we'll come back to this. Let's go out on TVC Entertainment. The viewers there can now hook up and link up to the discussion as we get along on the DSTV channel 41. All right. Thank you for staying with us. Well, it's really very interesting sometimes. Behind the cameras, a lot of wonderful things go on.
Yes, indeed. Still trying to make out what the producer is saying. We can't.
All right. We've been talking about the 6 students that were kidnapped from Igbola Model College in Epe in Lagos. And we have a productivity expert, Remy Dairo, with us in the studio. We've been talking about this. Now, Remy, let's come back to this issue now. Some experts have said that the age at which these boys are is the age they build their perception about life. When they come out, some say these boys will never remain the same again. What will that impact have on the way they perceive life, or the way they approach even the ambition they have? Because every child, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a lawyer, and all of that. How will this impact on all of that dream, making them productive?
You know, one of the things I said earlier was the kidnapping business, as may look very funny, and some, you know, might look like, oh, what's going on here? We're arresting this, arresting that. It's not good for the economy of Nigeria. Number one, it's impacting on the economy. Foreigners, investors don't like a country where kidnappers, you know, is becoming the order of the economy of Nigeria. Number one, it's impacting on the economy. Foreigners, investors don't like a country where kidnappers, you know, is becoming the order of the day. So economically, it's not good for the nation. Number two, for the children, these children begin to have a kind of a wrong perception about the country, wrong perception about even their parents. I don't really care about it, because I mean, they don't even know what's going on outside. You know, so for them growing up with this kind of trauma might be very, very dangerous to this nation.
So does that mean then that there is a danger that these kids who have been exposed to this kind of abuse may end up being abusers themselves later on in future? Because we've heard, and we've said it here on the show, that you know, the kidnappers according to reports, are saying that they're already training these kids, you know, on how to handle guns and
you know,
things like that.
when they are out, they need to do a kind of radicalized, you know, reorientation, and then changing their mind. A lot of things have to go through psychologically. They have to go through a psychological process, you know, taking them from where, you know, whatever they are coming from to a new world, because they've been in another world now. And if care is not taken, they are also learning something.
I'm just wondering, do we have another Chibok on our hands? Some experts would say that the whole global outcry was actually what gave the kidnappers, the abductors, in the case of Chibok, for example, they actually saw in those girls some kind of bargaining chip. Is that likely to be happening with these kidnappers, holding on to these kids for this long? I mean, nobody would have expected that they'll still be in their den.
That's why I said that if
after.
care is not taken, this business of kidnapping is becoming something that we need to really fight. Now, if the Boko Haram were able to, you know, bargain, find their way, they become so popular, attention was given to them. I mean, it started from, the last government when it started in the South, they were kidnapping some people. Oh, they are bargaining. Oh, we're going to get this and that. So it became a source of bargaining. That's how the business came from. And then when you take, when I keep them, you pay me or you give me what I'm looking for, and I give you some. Or I hold on to some, I give you some. It's becoming like a place of chess. Therefore, it's a business that must be crushed, and it's a mindset thing. Now, one of the things
how do you even crush this kind of business?
Now,
like in this case, the parents have already paid 10 million.
I even learned that they even gathered more money to pay. But you know what? This is a situation where people demand something from government, and the government will say, let them go and sit down until when there's a force coming in before they give them attention. This is where it started from. Until there's a strike, until some people are darning tools, until there's something from a particular part
of mass action.
Or a mass action. Then the government will not react. So when you see that, when some people tried it and say, okay, we are getting attention now, when they saw that, and some people are getting attention through that, then it became a good business. And before you know, I learned that, I mean, they told the parents, the kidnapper told the parents, go and get your government, they are not serious. It's like they are sending them back to the government. And they said, don't worry, if you are not careful, we'll kill your children, or you better go and get it. So that it's like they are targeting at the government, not even the parents anymore. So
such effrontery.
I mean, it's a serious thing. So
all right, but when these children come back, would you advise that they enroll, they maintain or keep going to the same school again?
Psychologically, that school will not be good for them anymore. I mean, anytime they enter the school, they remember, you know, that event. And for parents, I don't know, I don't want to talk about the school. What I'm saying is parents will make the choice of their school not because it's Naira or because, oh, this is what my friends' children are going to, or what. Security should be one of the factors they have to consider now.
Can you really fall to the decision of a parent to decide wherever they want to send their schools, whether it's close by or far away?
It's a new way of thinking now. Before, we don't think about those things. But now we have to consider
there could be socio-economic factors sometimes and all of that. But however, productivity expert Remy Dairo, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.